And the first order of business, I want to welcome everybody to the meeting. Looks like we've got a good crowd. And next we'll have a pledge of allegiance to the flag led by Commissioner Rain.
Flags back there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, Suzanne, would you call a roll call of the commissioners?
Chairman Lent.
Present.
Vice Chairman Rain.
Here.
Commissioner Picuro.
Here.
Commissioner Cabot.
Here.
Commissioner Howell.
Here.
Commissioner McBeth.
Here.
Commissioner Morris.
Here.
And Commissioner Wallace.
Here. Thank you. Let's have a roll call of county boards. Would people representing the county board stand out and speak pretty loud so Suzanne can get your name, who you're representing?
Rick Smith, Washoe County. Paul Dixon, Clark County.
Juliana Carson.
Matt Johnson, Esmeralda County. Corey Lytle, Lincoln. Billy Williams, Mineral County.
Kevin Strozzi, Knight County.
You miss anybody? Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Anyone have any problems with the agenda? Macbeth, anybody? Commissioner Macbeth, anybody want to make a motion then to approve the?
Move to approve the agenda.
We got a motion, second, approve the agenda. All for the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Next item of business is member items, announcements. Commissioners, anything you want to see on the agenda or any, just move those. Any commissioner items you want to bring up?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Wallace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to let everyone know we had a committee meeting this morning for the elk damage and incentive committee, and we just got an update, basic update on the program and some of the balances on the account and the projects that are ongoing and potential projects. And then we discussed a little bit about some potential changes to the elk incentive program, and we're looking to maybe get that on a future agenda to get that information out to the cabs and get some opinions from the sportsmen and the cabs on some potential changes, like it was brought up that maybe allowing the landowners to maybe have 2 cow tags instead of 1 bull tag and maybe that they could sell, but the 2 cow tags that they might actually be able to use for their own use for filling their freezer, and it would also help with the depredation that's needed. It would eliminate the some of the potentials for conflict for the sportsmen that are concerned about the depredation tags taking trophy bulls and whatnot. We can transfer some of that maybe to some cow elk to help with the program. And we're looking to get some more information out on that and some more details for a future meeting.
Anybody else? I had a couple items here. One, I saw in the, we don't have a secretary here, but maybe Rich could answer this for me. In the leadership team reports, we have in here updates to the commission and committee support policy, and I don't think I've ever seen that. Do you have could we get a copy of that? Do you have a?
Sure, if it's not an internal policy, it's at least we have some memo of instruction on that stuff, but I think it's
an
internal policy.
It's an internal policy,
sure.
And we might be interested in if we could get it.
You bet.
And another item I had is I was going to change our agenda, and I changed it to match Clark County's agenda, and add that sentence in there: at the board's discretion, public comments on posted agenda items will be allowed at the time the agenda item is considered by the board. And I thought it was a good idea. and I put it in, and my DAG told me I couldn't do it, and so I told him I'm going to ask him at the meeting if I can add that to it.
And to start out with, I want to make sure I'm not, I don't represent Clark County. They're kind of on their own, but I was against changing the way the Clark County agenda reads. Is that at the board's discretion, public comments on posted agenda items will be allowed at the time the agenda item is considered by the board. The problem I have with that is that we need to let everybody know when they should make their public comment. So leaving up to the board's discretion, I think, is risky as far as the open meeting law is concerned, because people need to know, do I comment now at the start, or do I comment when the item comes up? And I think that's a little too vague. So that's why I wouldn't let this board do it.
So I guess we won't change it and put that in then if it's going to be a violation of open meeting law. The next item I had here is I had some people approach me, and the item here is I want to ask Rob Bonamici if he'd be willing to draft up some legislation for us, or at least something. But the idea is game animals with large antlers and horns aren't just trophies. They're valuable conservation resources that warrant harsher penalties, and I think that it would be great if we attached poaching penalties with the size of the antlers, with like a Boone and Crock score. And all wildlife violations are setbacks for conservation, but especially I think it should have stiffer penalties for illegally taking a animal with larger horns that's lived longer, is worth more as a benchmark. It's a benchmark good management, and it would have been a rare and cherished prize for a legal, ethical hunter. And when it gets poached, I think instead of paying $400 or whatever it is, you got to pay a much severer penalty. And I know that this has been, like Ohio has that, and the result is an exponential increase in restitution charges. They went from like a 200-point buck class from $400 penalty to $17,000 penalty. And I don't know if it'll stop poaching, but I think that it's going to make people think if they, and we've had some incidents here. We had a big one with the monster elk in Elko a few years ago, and if somebody's going to trophy poach and they get caught, they should pay a much higher penalty, because the animal is worth a lot more. And if you based on Boone and Crockett scoring, it might be detrimental to these people that want to go out and do that. They might have a second chance. So I'd like to see if Rob would be willing to draft up some type of legislation based on the size of the animal for us, if he could do that, or if he would, and see what the commission wants to do on it, and pass out to the cabs and see what the cabs thought of it too.
For the record, Rob Bonamici, Chief Game Warden. With regards to that, yes, we would be in favor of some type of graduated penalty system. There are a multitude of states that do practice that, have that in law. We've had internal discussions over the years regarding that, and what we kind of internally, in a nutshell, kind of come up with is we don't want to kind of emphasize the trophy aspect. We're looking at it more from a perspective of, if it is so many inches, so many points, and establish that in statute or regulation, and go from that, just base it on that. And that way you don't have the issues of official Boone and Crockett scorers and all that having to testify and so forth. But yeah, we do believe it is a viable option, and then the question comes into play, well, how high do you make these penalties and so forth? And from that perspective, we would look at other states, make it pretty commensurate with other states, because what we're finding across the nation is the poachers, they do their homework. They look at the states and they go, you know, the penalty's a lot less than Nevada, so we'll go to Nevada to poach. And I've actually interviewed poachers after the fact, after they've been convicted, and they do bring that up. So, yeah, it is a viable option. We're at the stage right now where we're beyond the deadline to submit legislation as an agency. So an outside sponsor would be needed, but it is doable.
Could you bring us some type of wording?
Yes, absolutely.
You'd like to see it worded, and we'll see what the county boards think of it, and see what the commission thinks of it, and maybe see if we can get a sponsor for it.
Okay, glad to do that.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
That was the last item I had under my pen, under member announcements. Next item of business is county advisory boards to manage wildlife member items. Any county board
Rick Smith, Washoe County. I'd like to just ask for a clarification on the comment Mr. Chairman and Mr. Stockman made. If I am correct, you said at the discretion of the board, you would take public comment under the items, and your issue with that, Mr. Stockton, is at the discretion of the board?
Just to clarify, that's what Clark County's agenda says. That's the language I read was out of Clark County's agenda, and this board wanted to adopt that. And my opinion is it's at the discretion of the board, but people have to know which it is. It's got to be one or the other, and they have to know up front. So that's all I said.
Okay, so that leads to my second question. So if you got rid of at the discretion of the board and said public comment will be taken on each agenda item, that clears that. Is that not true?
And I think that's the way we have it now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So this is public comment. If you look at our current agenda, the board's current agenda, number 5, which is the next, it's not this one, but see, and the second sentence says persons are invited to submit comments in writing on the agenda item or attend and make comment on the item at the, oh, no, that's not it. Well, it's not as clear as I thought it was, but maybe I'll work on it. But well, we've always allowed public. This is the public or next is the public comment time for general items, and then they've always allowed individual comment on individual items.
Okay.
You know, as long as they're items where the board is acting for the public, obviously. Hearings, internal matters, those kinds of things are not public comment items.
Understood.
Okay?
So the intention is nothing is going to change. You just wanted to make sure that was clear. You were looking at putting some different language, and you said...
We were looking at it for next time.
But the intention is no different, that you can make comment on action items. Is that true?
I think that's the intent.
Chairman?
We're going to do just like we did here on items that are members of the public. We're gonna take public comment on, and if it's internal or an appeal, no.
Okay.
If it's an internal item,
but if it's a general action item, then yes, you'll take public comment.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Any other?
Paul Dixon, Clark County Cab. What I wanted to state for the record here is that at our last advisory board meeting, due to unforeseen circumstances of 2 of my board members, we were unable to make quorum, so we do not have any official recommendations to this board. So today I will get up and speak as an individual if I have opinions on any of the action items coming through, and I just wanted to have that clearly stated for the record as we go forward, so there are no misconceptions in that.
How many people in Clark County?
How many people, sir?
Clark
what
County.
Do you mean?
How many people in Clark County?
You mean population, sir?
Yeah.
Or on the board, wildlife?
Population.
Population? Population is roughly close to 2 million now, I think, in the greater Las Vegas Valley, considered Clark County. And your reason for asking that, sir?
I was gonna say, hard to get a quorum with that many. Geez, you should be able to get 100 people in it there, but that's okay, I guess.
We have a total of 7 board members. We have to have 4 to have a quorum, and people are allowed to call and say they can't make the meeting, and I knew that 2 of the members were not gonna make the meeting because they'd asked to be excused, and I informed the board, and all of the boarders volunteer and they work, and both of them had unexpected regulatory things that came into their work business on the afternoon of our meeting, and they ran a half an hour late. And because of the previous open meeting laws violation filed against Clark County, which was dismissed with no action required on our part, other than Clark County's taken proactive actions to make sure that we follow open meeting law. So I will take seriously Deputy Attorney General Brian Stockman's comments about how we've described things. But having said that, we have to call our meeting in the first 15 minutes if we don't have a quorum of board members. The board members did arrive, but they arrived a half an hour late. And so even though we had a quorum after the fact, we didn't. And the last thing I'd like to say is that I wanted to thank the Department of Wildlife. Dave Pullum and Elmer Bull came to talk about Overton issues at Clark County. And we had a lot of people from Overton come down, talk through issues, and Dave will be, in my viewpoint, greatly missed by the Department of Wildlife in his new endeavor since his retiring and leaving. But he was a wealth of knowledge for general discussions that we had, and we kind of walked through the overall commission agenda just as a general public information meeting after that, not as anything else. And it was very informative to have him there, and I think it was one of the largest showings we've had in Clark County for public attendance in a long time. I was just very sad that we couldn't have actually given you recommendations, Chairman. So
The point I was making, it was on some of what I consider the more important items, like when he set seasons or quotas. I think these are very important for the CABs to give us information on them. And it was a meeting like that where we have some real hot issues that, reschedule the meeting, and so you get some recommendations to us. And I don't know if you can, but
because of
reschedule.
budgetary constraints, once I budgeted for a meeting and set it up in Clark County, I'm locked to that date.
Are you? Okay.
And that's just the realities of where we are. We don't have the flexibility because of the way Clark County, because we have to have a Deputy Attorney General there, not an Attorney General, but a Deputy District Attorney generally attends our meetings. We have our recorder and other things, and once that's scheduled and the county's paid for that, we don't have budget to go and pull another meeting off in the system for that. I've actually tried that, and it went all the way up to, I would probably have to go to county council and get approval, and that's not going to occur in the 2-week time window that we have. So sorry for not having formal, but I'll give you my personal, don't worry.
Anybody, any other CAB? Hearing none, I'll close that agenda item and